Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Iron Man 2. And this movie came out in 2010 and is directed by Jon Favreau. And he also directed the first one. And I have seen this movie a few times. I think the last time I saw it would have been roughly 15 years ago. It's been quite a long time since I've last seen it, and I wanted to revisit it in preparation for Avengers Doomsday. And I just kind of want to go through all the MCU films I haven't reviewed on my channel, and I've been meaning to do this for a while. And I'm just going to go in order, and it's going to be from this movie all the way up to Captain America Civil War, I believe. Everything in between these two movies, with the exception of Captain America the Winter Soldier, I have yet to review. So this should be fun, and I do feel as though these movies are kind of fun time capsule movies, and I do remember seeing this movie in a theater and having a good time, and was excited to see it. Really enjoyed the first Iron Man a lot. I've seen that movie many, many times, and I don't love it as much as I used to, but I still think it's a solid film. It's a good movie. And this movie had a pretty great cast overall, and I'd still love Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. I think he does a great job in this movie, and Don Cheadle, if I pronounced that correctly, I thought he was great in this movie as well. And I do feel as though the cast brings a lot to this movie, and even though Mickey Rourke, he plays the villain of the movie Whiplash, I'm not really in love with his character, but it's not really him that's the problem. It's more or less just what the movie gives him and what he has to work with, which is not much really. And this movie is kind of a mess, and I do have my problems with it. But going back to positives, I do feel as though the visual effects looked pretty great, especially for the time. And I do like the idea to have the third act of this movie take place at night. And I do feel as though that was a good idea to kind of hide the visual effects, like imperfections in the animation department. And that was a good idea, in my opinion. And it was also in that period where just about every climax to a superhero movie had to take place at night. I don't know when it officially stopped, but it was shortly around the time when the first Avengers came out. I think that was like one of the first ones to decide, you know what? The climax of a superhero movie doesn't have to take place at night. Now that I think about it, this was one of the last MCU films where it took place at night. Now that I think about it, I think the last one was Thor. Technically, if you depends how you define it, but I feel as though that was the last one in the MCU to do it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there was another one that did do that after this point. And this movie was pretty fast paced, and it didn't really feel as though I was sitting around waiting for things to happen. It kind of flew by for me, and it wasn't boring for me. And I did like seeing Black Widow in this movie. I feel as though she's a fun character. She doesn't have a lot to do, but I still like her. And Nick Fury, he's a fun character. And Samuel L. Jackson has some iconic moments in this movie as well. The action scenes were fun and not super impressive or anything outstanding, but still fun for the time, especially. And I felt as though they worked. And this movie just works as a nice, simple entertainment, which is pretty much what it needs to. Doesn't overexceed what is like the bar of superhero movies, really. It's just another superhero film that came out during this time trying to set up the Avengers. And now to get into my issues with this movie. This movie is kind of infamous for not really working too well as a standalone film, and its primary focus is that it's trying to be a setup for the Avengers. And people were kind of disappointed by that because you want to see Iron Man. That's what we're here for, Iron Man. And we're getting Avengers setups a little too often. And it's like, yeah, maybe you could tone it back a bit. And another thing that I took issue with was the plot of the movie. And this is not necessarily something I have an issue with superhero movies, but in this movie, I just found the plot to be convoluted and had too many subplots going on. And first, we get to the Avengers setup. So that's a subplot in this movie. Then we get the villain storyline. And it doesn't really feel all that important other than to just have a villain in the movie. And we have Pepper Potts taking over as CEO for Stark Industries. We have Tony Stark dying from the chess piece that's in him. We have a whole bunch of other stuff, and I don't really know what the plot of the movie is anymore. It kind of just feels like a bunch of things thrown together, and it doesn't really have a real focus anymore. This movie had some pretty bad dialogue at times, and I was like, yeah, that could have been better. It didn't need to be written in that exact same way, but it's not like superhero movies are known for great dialogue or anything. In fact, the only times you're going to remember any dialogue in these movies are just some of these quirky, fun moments where they're saying one liners that are kind of funny and kind of memorable, and that's about it. That's the only dialogue you're going to remember. And it might have just been me, but Scarlett Johansson, I like her, but the way she plays a Black Widow in this movie kind of feels a little different from how she plays this character in later films. And I don't mean throughout the entire film. I'm primarily talking about like when she's in the suit in the third act, how she's communicating with characters and overall just talking and just being that character. It just feels a little different from later installments. Who knows? Maybe you could make the argument that this is just early on before we really get that MCU version of Black Widow, and this is kind of like pre all that, but it just kind of felt a little weird to me. The music in this movie was pretty bland to me. I don't remember any of it. It's not like the MCU is known for the music, but still, I would appreciate something memorable at the very least. There was a little bit of screaming in the first 10 minutes that I found to be kind of comical. And it was just, really, we're doing that. And as far as entertainment value goes, I enjoyed it about as much as the first movie, but unfortunately, I just have more problems with this movie, and that kind of drags it down. And I did actually also forget that Elon Musk was in this movie. He has a little cameo. I forgot about that. And I also kind of almost forgot the after credit scene for this movie. I'm not going to say what it is, but if you've seen all these movies, or at least are familiar with what was being set up around the time, then you probably know what it is. But I'm not going to say it just in case you don't know or you forgot. But that's about all I have to say about Iron Man 2. It was okay. Its biggest strength is entertainment value and not so much anything else. The action is decent. The characters are well realized for the most part. I enjoyed watching these characters and I had a good time, but it just didn't really click with me as much as some other MCU films. So check this movie out if you like Iron Man, and you've probably already seen it. And even if you haven't yet, it's not a bad movie. It's just a little disappointing from the first movie. So with all that being said, I'm going to give Iron Man 2 a 5 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Iron Man 2, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Babel. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.